Well, a very good afternoon to you. You are just in time for TV47 at 1 with I, Sheilar Chelangat. And of course, we do begin right now. Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has escalated his legal battle over his impeachment, filing an appeal at the Court of Appeal against a High Court decision that upheld his removal from office. Gachagua argues that the three-judge bench was wrong to find that the Senate's impeachment decision was final and could not be reviewed by the courts, even after finding that parts of the impeachment process violated his rights to a fair hearing and fair administrative action. Now, the former deputy president is seeking to have the Senate resolution passed on October 17, 2024, declared unconstitutional, null and void. He is also challenging the 50 million shillings awarded to him as constitutional damages, arguing that the amount did not adequately vindicate his rights or deter future violations. Now, the appeal now places the legality of his impeachment and the disputed judgment record before the Court of Appeal.
It remains free to do so. The experience of the first impeachment of a deputy president to come before the National Assembly under the Constitution of Kenya 2010 might have been a sobering constitutional experience. It may have exposed in real time the structural tensions that compressed timelines have the potential to create when applied to proceedings of national consequence. We commend to Parliament for its serious consideration in the exercise of its sovereign authority to regulate its own proceedings, the question of whether the timelines prescribed in Standing Order 64-2 remain adequate in light of this experience, and whether a timeline that builds in more time for public participation and for the Assembly to deliberate with the gravity that removal from constitutional office demands would not be more befitting of the constitutional moment that the impeachment invariably represents.
That acceptance of the petitioner's proposition would invalidate all parliamentary business undertaken since 2013, an outcome they described as constitutionally untenable and absurd. The Speaker of the Senate and the Senate associated themselves with that position on further.
Now, the Jubilee Party has condemned the attacks on Linda Mwananchi Brigade in Homa Bay yesterday. The party's deputy leader, Fred Matiang'i, has accused the government of allowing political interest to drive the country towards instability. Matiang'i, who is also the Jubilee Party presidential candidate, said the level of violence witnessed during political activities should concern every Kenyan.
Thank you so much, SG. It's because we thought that we should do this early because we have a very, very packed day of so many activities. There is that time in the life of a nation, such as we are now, when I think we need to speak to each other candidly and very sincerely about how we see the affairs of our country going. And most of what I'm going to do this morning, I feel the weight of responsibility on my shoulders as a political leader in a party, number one. And then secondly, as someone who had the privilege of serving as the Cabinet Minister for Interior and Coordination of National Government, and therefore sat in the apex of the national security infrastructure in the country for about 5 years. We have spoken about these things for a while, but it's now abundantly clear that the President and his government have chosen violence as a weapon for political survival and as a weapon for political engagement. And I'm not going to start where usually people start with these tired cliches about we condemn in the strongest terms possible, we ask for action. I'm not going to go that direction. Because what we are dealing with is abundantly clear to all of us that we have come to a point where certain serious conversations must happen in this country and choices must be made. This is not rocket science. You don't need a degree in geophysics to see what is going on in the country. This weekend alone, from the stoning incident in Mulot that affected my 2 vehicles, to the stoning incident in Nakuru Town West that affected DCP leaders, and then Salga, and then yesterday in Homa Bay. It's so clear to everyone that, one, there's a pattern to this. Second, there's very clear questions of government in this, because you look at the behavior of the security forces on this matter. And three, you can see, blatantly, a case of, determination on the part of government to engage in this level of violence.
Now, a group of human rights activists staging protest outside the Inspector General of Police's office in Nairobi were arrested this morning after demanding justice for extrajudicial killings and police brutality. The demos, organized by several human rights organizations here in Nairobi, aim to amplify public calls for accountability and respect for human rights. Protesters carried placards and chanted slogans calling for the resignation of IG Kanja and urging authorities to end what they described as unlawful killings and excessive use of force by security agencies. Police moved in and arrested the activists, some of whom had chained themselves at a gate at Jogoo House in Nairobi. All right, and the national chairman of the Boda Operators Association, Kevin Mubadi, has urged motorcycle taxi riders to distance themselves from politicians who may want to use them to cause violence and unrest as the country heads towards next year's election campaigns. Speaking during a road safety training that involved more than 500 riders in Kapsabet, Nandi County, Mubadi said some politicians exploit Boda riders for their own political interests and personal agendas, such as disrupting meetings of their political opponents. He called on riders to be vigilant and avoid being involved in hooligan activities that could lead to violence, disturb peace, and even endanger the lives of citizens. At the same forum, the riders were also encouraged to fully observe traffic rules to reduce frequent accidents, while being urged to cooperate with security officers in identifying and eliminating criminals hiding within the Boda sector.
If you need, I will join. Kuna watu wanatutumianga sisi kama ngazi kupanda kufanya fujo, na wakishapanda pale juu wanatusahau, si ni ukweli? Tafadhali, mimi kama kijana mwenzenu nataka kuwaomba tusikubali kutumika vibaya na wanasiasa kufanya fujo, kupiga wenzetu kwa sababu ya shilingi 50, shilingi 100 ambaye hata haiwezi kutusaidia. Mahali unaishi, wakati mama anapika pale kwa nyumba na unga inaisha, utaenda kwa nani? Si unaenda kwa jirani. Sasa wewe ukichomea jirani yako nyumba ama umpiga akufe, utaenda kuomba wapi jioni?
Ni kwamba ameweza kuhimiza vijana waweze kuzingatia sheria kwa barabara. Ameweza pia kuagiza kwa kuzingatia vijana kwamba tunapoelekea katika uchaguzi huu, vijana wasiweze kutumika.
Weka helmet. Tafuta reflector ya abiria na helmet yake. Haya, kata license. Weka insurance. Number plate kwa pikipiki. Hiyo vitu yote ukiwa naye na usiendeshe ukiwa mlevi.
Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi has urged Siaya residents to support plans to rebuild Kenya's first nuclear power plant in the county. The 500 billion shillings project is expected to generate 1,000 megawatts of electricity and provide a reliable baseload power for industrial growth. Wandai has warned that external forces could influence individuals opposing the project, urging residents and leaders to protect the investment. Construction is set to begin in 2027, with full commissioning expected by 2034 under a public-private partnership. The site was selected partly because Lake Victoria can provide the large volumes of cooling water required for nuclear generation.
Hii mradi ya nuclear power plant ni mradi ya maana sana. Hii itakuwa mradi wa kwanza wa nuclear power production katika hii nchi ya Kenya. Na kwa bahati nzuri Mheshimiwa Rais na serikali yake wameamua kwamba hiyo mradi iletwe hapa Siaya County. Na hiyo mradi itagharimu karibu shilingi bilioni 500. Nusu trilioni ya pesa. Sisi kama wananchi wa eneo hili wa kaunti ya Siaya lazima tushukuru serikali kuu. Na lazima tuwe katika mstari wa mbele kuhifadhi hiyo mradi na kuiunga mkono ili itekelezwe haraka iwezekanavyo. Ndio isaidie watu wetu. Ama namna gani? Ama namna gani? Kwa hivyo wale ambao wako wachache na wanatumiwa na wengine ambao hawapendi development ya hii eneo lazima wakemewe vilivyo.
Now, farmers in Uasin Gishu County are counting heavy losses after a prolonged dry spell devastated maize crops. In some areas, crops have withered before maturity, leaving farmers with little option but to turn their failed harvest into livestock feeds. They're now sounding an alarm on food security in a country's food basket region. Willie Dennis Njiru has more.
For farmers in Uasin Gishu, these dry stalks are a painful reminder of a season that promised millions of shillings but delivered devastating losses. Crops that were expected to produce thousands of bags of maize have withered before reaching maturity following a prolonged dry spell.
Hii silage mnaona nimekata ni hasara tupu. Ni ile tunajaribu kuokoa ng'ombe hapa ili niweze kupata ng'ombe ili nisiweze kufa kwa sababu mwaka hii hakuna ukali.
Serikali aangalie wakulima na walete mbolea mapema. Ndio mvua ya kwanza ikinyesha wakulima watakuwa wamepanda. Bora kama mvua itakuwa kama ya mwaka huu pia itakuwa ni hasara.
Some farmers planted more than 10 acres with hopes of a bumper harvest with good financial returns, but with the crop now dry and unproductive, the maize stalks now cut as fodder to feed cattle.
Mwaka huu mimi naona ni wakati iko shida. Hata mimi naona hii yangu ni afadhali. Nimetembea Kenya mzima, iko shida mingi. Nimetoka Nairobi jana, nimepitia nje ya ravine. Mahindi ni mbaya, hata uwezi katia ng'ombe.
Behind every dried stalk is an investment in seed, fertilizer, labor, fuel and land preparation. Farmers say the losses are coming at a time when the cost of production remains high, with fuel, pesticides and other farm inputs continuing to rise.
Eka 10 huwa tunapata kuanzia kunia 300 ama 350 wakati season imetupeleka mzuri. Kunia moja ikiwa ni 3,000 hapa milioni ningalipata. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya ama kwa bahati mzuri mvua inatoka kwa Mungu. Nimeweza kuleta hii silage ambayo hata haijatosha trela 5.
The farmers are now calling for government intervention, warning that unpredictable rainfall patterns and rising production costs could deepen food insecurity in the country's maize growing heartland.
Waone kama wanaweza kutufikiria vile walivyofikiria watu wa miwa, wakafikiria watu wa mchele, wakafikiria watu wa kahawa, wakafikiria wale wengine watu wa mchele, mtufikirie pia sisi na sisi watu wa mahindi.
For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
All right, 15 minutes past 1. We take a short commercial break. More updates on the other side of the break, so stay with us.
Something you haven't chosen enters your day.
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort.
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi. And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us here on TV47 at 1. Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has condemned the violence witnessed in Homa Bay County over this past weekend. In a statement, NCIC terms the political intolerance as an unfortunate, worrying trend that is against the Constitution of Kenya. The Commission has reiterated that any Kenyan is allowed to hold political activities in any part of the country as long as they do not break the law. NCIC says it has embarked on the process of summoning and holding those responsible accountable. Right, to Embu, where the construction of the Kathageri-Kanywambora Road is set to open up Runyenjes and Mbere North in Embu County, improving trade between the two constituencies. The 2.2 billion project is expected to unlock the potential of an area endowed with tea, coffee, livestock and mangoes, with residents led by Rosemary Muthanji lauding the initiative after years of struggling with the deplorable road. She said farmers were forced to use motorbikes to access markets as traders avoided the area, adding that the project will minimize post-harvest losses.
Naona hii njia ikiisha fungua biashara, biashara itaendelea juu mazao yetu itakuwa inatoka kwa mashamba, especially madisi ambayo inachukuliwa hapa na watu wanaenda mpaka Nairobi, itakuwa inaenda kwa njia safi.
Our gratitude on behalf of the community for the tarmacking of this Kathageri-Kanywambora Road. It has taken many years for this dream to be achieved.
Tunashukuru sana kwa hii maendeleo imetufikia huku kwetu Siamanda, juu tumeona hii rami itatuokoa sana.
Magari yataongezeka ambayo yatakuwa yanasaidia watu. Hizi bodaboda wakati mwingine bei yake ilikuwa iko juu, lakini barabara ikifunguka magari yaanze kupitia kwa hii barabara, watu watakuwa wanalipa bei nafuu.
All right, and back to matters politics. UDA party youth leadership across Trans Nzoia County have come out and expressed their firm decision in promoting and championing for sober politics in the country. At the same time, highlighting the need for young leadership and cooperation from the party leadership in the country. Speaking in a UDA forum in Kiminini sub-county, the youth have reiterated the need for sober politics in the country, urging that the electorate must avoid politicians who have bad intention of divisive politics as the 2027 election nears. At the same time, the leadership has urged President William Ruto to visit the county, dismissing claims that he would face hostility during his tour of the county amid rising political tension.
Kama kuna kiongozi ambayo ana ukabila afai kuchaguliwa kwa uongozi kwa uchaguzi ambayo unakuja 2027, na kwamba tunaomba president wetu aingie hapa Trans Nzoia na aache kuuziwa uoga. Hii ambaye anasikia huku ni kelele tu, lakini yeye ndio baba wa taifa na tunampenda hapa Trans Nzoia na tunasema President William Ruto ni ngapi?
Wakati mwingi wanasema wakati vijana wanakuja pamoja mambo mengi yanasonga. Kwa hivyo sisi kama vijana tumeamua kukuja pamoja ili kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba tunasukuma gurudumu la UDA hapa Trans Nzoia County liweze kusonga mbele, na pia pili kuweza kumwomba rais wetu William Ruto aweze kukuja county ya Trans Nzoia, maana jeshi lake tuko tayari kumpokea.
Tunaenda kuhakikisha kwamba umoja wa chama cha UDA na viongozi wote tunabaki kitu kimoja. Hatutakubali sasa mtu wa UDA kushambulia mwingine.
Wakati tunapoenda katika nomination, hiyo nomination ikue ya haki na uhuru, kwa sababu ni kupitia kwa hiyo nomination ambapo tutapata wanachama wengi na wafuasi wengi wataweza kuangalia kwamba hii chama chetu cha UDA ni chama.
Away from that, the family of Eric Muiruri, who was allegedly shot by police after a bar brawl, is at the city mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. We now cross over to our reporter on the ground, Michelle Mwangi. Good afternoon. What else do we know?
All right. Good afternoon to you, Sheila. We're coming to you live from the Nairobi Funeral Home, where at the moment we are currently waiting for a post-mortem examination to be done for the late Eric Muiruri. Eric Muiruri was allegedly shot on the night of 9th August after having a fight with a bouncer in Githurai 44. Well, at the moment we are waiting for investigators from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to come so that the post-mortem examination can start. At the moment, I'd like to speak to the mother of the late Eric Muiruri. Karibu sana, ma'am. Utaanza na kujitambulisha na utueleze nini unatarajia siku ya leo.
Kwa majina naitwa Gishu na nimekuja kuangalia kupeana haki ya mtoto wangu. Leo ndio tumekuja postmortem.
Labda unaweza tueleza ile siku mlipata mwili ilikuwaje? Nini sofa mmejua?
Mimi niliitwa, sasa nilikuja nikuta mwili wa mtoto wangu umelaswa chini. Vile nilitaka kwenda kuangalia mwili, kabla mwili nifike kwa mwili, nilipigwa na polisi moja hapo. Akaniambia siwezi enda kuangalia mtoto wangu. Mimi nikamwambia lazima niende. Huyo polisi jina yake anaitwa, huyo alinichapa anaitwa Deno. Lakini ule waliua Eric wakiwa wawili ni Deno na Steve. Hata mimi niko na uoga. Juu sasa hao polisi tu wako area. Juu hata mimi wanajua ndio nisifikie haki ya mtoto wangu. Kwa hivyo hata mimi nataka wachukuliwe, washikwe, hata mimi nipate haki ya mtoto wangu.
Asante sana.
Huyo mwenye airport alikuwa anasema hajui mtoto wangu. Tena akatumana. Ati nikuja niende nimuombe msamaha wanisaidie kusika mtoto wangu. Sasa huyo nilimuuliza, walikuwa wamesema hawamjui. Kumekujaji tena anamjua, ndio tena wanisaidie. Nikauliza huyo alitumwa kwa hiyo kumeuliwa watu wangapi? Yeye mwenyewe akanijibu tulikuwa kwa komiti ni wengi. Nikamuuliza kama ni wengi, mimi wangu si wangu saa hizi, ni wa serikali. Kwa hivyo mimi siwezi kuja kumuomba msamaha.
So kwako unadhania haki itapatikana vipi kwa mwanawe?
Mimi naomba tu nisaidiwe nyinyi wote nipate haki ya mtoto wangu. Juu siku hizi unaona watu wanauliwa na wanapotelea hivyo. Lakini Steve na Deno mimi nasikia uoga hata nikitembea. Juu hata mimi wasaniua.
All right, thank you so much. That is the mother of the late Eric Muiruri. Well, at the moment, we are currently waiting for the DCI to arrive here at the funeral home so that the post-mortem examination can start. Over to you, Sheila.
All right, thank you very much, Michelle Mwangi. We will be linking up with you later on for more updates on that particular story. Now, away from that, the Ogiek community has marked the 7th edition of its annual Cultural Day with calls to preserve indigenous knowledge, protect ancestral land and harness cultural heritage for sustainable livelihoods. Mike Chalo reports.
Traditional songs, dances, oral stories and indigenous foods took center stage at Nkareta Cultural Center and Museum as Ogiek elders passed down knowledge to the younger generation.
It is a day to celebrate who we are, where we come from, what we have preserved and what we must continue to protect for generations to come.
More than 3,000 locals and visitors attended the event, which also featured beadwork, pottery, handcrafts, proverbs, sacred ornaments and other cultural artifacts.
We have to protect our biodiversity, our traditions, and a time when the world is facing climate change, our diversity and diversity laws, we are here and showcasing that we can protect.
The 7th Ogiek Cultural Day, held under the theme Cultural Resilience in Diversity, seeks to show how Ogiek traditions can thrive amid changing social and environmental conditions.
Jamii Ogiek ni jamii yenye inaishi kwa msitu. Na ukiangalia hii msitu iko na manufaa mingi sana. Kama miti ya kienyeji, madawa yenye mara mingi unakimbia hospitali kunywa, kuna madawa mingi hapa inatokana kwa hii msitu.
Ogiek's People Development Program Executive Director Daniel Kobei says preserving the community's culture is critical, particularly as modernity, climate change, urbanization and environmental degradation continue to transform traditional ways of life.
Climate change is real and we are seeing changes. Last year tulipokuwa hapa tulikuwa tunaogopa mvua. Leo tumekuja tukiogopa vumbi. Ni tofauti kubwa sana.
Stakeholders have also called for the protection of Ogiek ancestral land and full implementation of the policies and court rulings recognizing their rights.
Jamii ya Ogiek inajulikana kwamba iliishi katika msitu wa Mau. Wengi wao wamefurushwa. Tunaomba serikali iweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba jamii hii, watu kutoka jamii hii wanapata makao ili watoto wao na visasi vijavyo viweze kuishi na kushindana na jamii zingine.
The Ogiek Cultural Day, held annually on August 14th, has now become a platform for uniting the community, preserving indigenous knowledge and inspiring the younger generation to take up their responsibility of protecting their culture and their environment. Mike Chalo, TV47.